If you grew up in an immigrant household, if you are an Arab American, chances are you have a lot of toxic people-pleasing tendencies who are trying to get everybody to like you. What's up, baddie? I'm Rima, and you are now tuned in to the Arab and Thriving show. Today, we're going to talk all about people pleasing and why you might actually still be a people pleaser even though you don't think you are. I realized I was still dealing with people pleasing tendencies way too late in the game. Like, I was in my late 20s and I'm like, am I trying to please everybody? Like, how is that possible? I don't think I come off like a people pleaser. I don't think that I'm someone who's timid and a yes person. The media has portrayed people pleasing to look and feel and sound a certain way that some of us who do people please don't even identify with it. And then we just go through life with our people pleasing ways, not really knowing how to do anything about it. So let me just debunk that right here and right now. If you grew up in an immigrant household, if you are an Arab American, chances are you have a lot of toxic people pleasing tendencies, no matter how else you identify. Even if you are an extrovert, even if you are not a timid person, even if you don't have trouble setting boundaries and saying no, there are still a lot of ways you could be people pleasing that are flying under the radar because they don't look as mainstream, so they don't really flag to you as a problem. If you are someone who thinks that being nice is the most important quality that you should have, then you probably are a people pleaser. Now, before you cut into me, I don't think there's anything wrong with being nice. I think there's something wrong with being nice at all costs to the point where you are no longer being nice to yourself. And this is why having a distinction between what's nice and what is kind or respectful is very important. I definitely was one of these people who felt like I just needed to be nice. And more importantly than that, I needed people to know that I was a nice person. So I was friends with somebody who actually ended up being really disrespectful to me. She just decided she didn't want to be my friend anymore, which is honestly completely fine. Like, no shame with that, right? But then when she would see me in public, would literally pretend not to see me. Now, here's where I totally messed up. I would make it a point to go up to her, even after it being painfully obvious several times that she didn't want to talk to me, to just say hi. Nothing had happened between us. Like, there was no like bad blood done to anybody, but it was clear she no longer wanted to be my friend. But I would go out of my way because I didn't want to be perceived as not nice. I would go out of my way and make myself uncomfortable just so I can go and say hi to her. I even went out of my way to ask her if everything was okay between us, at which point she completely gaslit me and was just like, everything is completely fine. It was after that interaction and having done things like that in my life where people were clearly not being real, where I would feel the need to be the bigger person or the nice person. And let me just tell you that that is overrated. Let me tell you why. Being nice is not more important than being kind. And being kind also includes yourself. If someone has repeatedly shown me that they don't want to greet me in public, then the kind thing to do for myself would be to also not greet them in public. I'm not petty. Well, actually, I'm kind of petty, but in these situations, I'm usually not petty. If we make eye contact, I will smile and say hi. I think that's a very kind thing to do, is just smile and say hi if somebody looks at you that you know. But I'm not going to try so hard to be nice and go out of my way to disrespect myself in the process by saying hi to someone who clearly doesn't want to acknowledge my presence. You're the type of person that would go out of your way, even if it's something that's not kind or respectful to you. Be honest with yourself. Why are you really doing this? Why do you need to look like a nice person? This is a people-pleasing tendency, and it stems from feeling like you need to be perceived as a nice or good person in order to be loved. As someone who grew up in an Arab or immigrant household, it is almost impossible to not feel this way, because a lot of times our love, no matter how amazing our parents were, my parents were phenomenal. A lot of times in our culture, love does not actually feel unconditional. Now, let me explain that. I know I grew up with unconditional love. Rationally, I knew that there was pretty much nothing in this world that I could do to not get love from my family. But emotionally, it didn't always feel that way. How many of you had parents who were really strict about your grades, were really strict about what you wore, were really strict about whether or not you could have certain friends or have certain partners, right? And when you went against the things that they were strict about, how did they show you their disapproval? In my case, sometimes it resulted in the silent treatment. And no matter how much I knew people in my life loved me, if they were giving me the silent treatment, in that moment, it felt like I was literally being robbed of that love. So emotionally, I didn't feel that love. And what that has conditioned so many of us to do is to audition or perform in order to receive love in return. And that is literally the definition of conditional love. This friend I was sitting with, we were literally out to eat. It was like a loud restaurant. She said, you know, growing up, I constantly felt like I had to audition for love. And that phrase just like hit me really hard. Like it hit me way harder than it should have, for it not even being my situation that she was talking about. And at that point, I'm like, let me make a mental note of this and think about it later, because I know this hit me hard because it's true for me. And from there, I realized, okay, Rima, like your parents always loved you and they always made it a point to let you know there's nothing in this world that you can do that wouldn't make them stop loving you. But their actions sometimes, specifically with my dad, sometimes showed me otherwise. Even though I knew he loved me so much, there was not enough love in this world to describe how much love I knew he had for me. When I did do things that were against his word, or when I was just a normal rebellious teenager or early 20-something year old, I felt that love was being withdrawn. And that, from a very young age, trained me to feel like I needed to audition for love. Like I needed to show up and put on my best act so that I could get love from people in my life. So ask yourself, are you offering something because you genuinely want to offer it? Or is it because you feel like you need to bargain for that love in exchange? Are you going out of your way to be hospitable? Or are you going out of your way because you feel like people won't love you or accept you unless you do that? This can go with family members. This can go with partners. This can apply to friend groups where you're constantly the one paying for things, or you're constantly the one offering up rides. Is that because you're generous? Is there some sort of reciprocity? I don't need you to sit there and count tit for tat. Like no one wants to do that. I don't need you to sit there and add up how much you've spent on their meals and how much you've gotten in return. No, like you don't need to be in relationships that make you do that. But you just need to ask yourself, am I the only one going out of my way to offer these things up? And am I doing that because somehow, some way I was deprived of love and I felt like the only way to get it was to go out of my way to do things for people? That is being a people pleaser, my friend. And it is not going to make you feel pleased with yourself. The more you perform to please others, the less you end up pleasing and loving yourself, and the more you constantly fuel that need to get that love from outside. Do you downplay your needs? Are you afraid to ask people for things? This is something I had to learn the hard way in my marriage with Ahmed, is I need this. I just need to ask for it. Like, why am I so afraid to ask for something? Why do I feel like asking him to get up and grab me something, if my love language is acts of service, is this huge thing? And that's because I grew up feeling like I needed to downplay my needs. I needed to be the most low maintenance person so that I could fly under the radar, all the while doing everything for other people, just so I could be more lovable. And this is especially true for people who have worthiness issues, if you don't feel like you are enough, and have burden issues, if you feel like you are a burden to people in your life. Now, I'm not going to try to psychoanalyze you. Actually, you should read this book called The Big Leap. This is where I first learned about this, by Gay Hendricks. Shout out to my friend Amanda for recommending this to me. This book kind of talks through people who have these types of childhood wounds of feeling like they're not worthy, feeling like they're burdensome. I personally don't know where my burden thing came from, because I don't know that I was made to feel like a burden, but I do know that I had women in my life who felt like burdens to people in their lives. And I think maybe that was just a learned behavior for me. I felt like asking for something is just too burdensome for other people. And this even translates professionally. Like I feel insecure to ask for help, which hurts my performance. So whether it be professionally, with friends, in a relationship, understand that you downplaying your needs in itself is you being a people pleaser. You are afraid, you are anxious and nervous to say that you have needs, or that you come with some non-negotiables, or that you require some maintenance because you think that's going to make you less lovable. You're not a freaking car, okay? Like, yes, would I love a car? And the irony is that the most expensive bougie cars that people love the most, low-key, are the ones that need the most maintenance. Not to objectify us. I feel like guys are always comparing women to cars. Things in your life that you love and you want to keep and you want to take care of, you are okay watching a million YouTube videos to learn how to take care of them. You are okay taking them to the shop or taking them to the doctors if you need them to get checked up on. Like your child, you will take your child to the doctors every single day just to make sure that your child is well taken care of. So if you are someone who believes you are worthy of love, you also believe you are worthy of care. You also believe you are worthy of maintenance. You also believe you are worthy of being spoiled. Understand that your being afraid to ask for things, or your fear of being perceived as a burden or too high maintenance, is a people-pleasing tendency, and you need to work through that. You are so worth whatever maintenance is required for you. You are so worth waiting patiently to find the people or the person in your life who is more than happy and excited to give you all of that. You are worth it. People pleasing is for the birds. It is not helpful to anybody. You not only make things harder for other people in your life because they don't know why you're doing that. They just think you want to do it. And then when the day comes where you realize you're not getting that treatment in return, you start to resent them. And that's not fair because they never asked for that. They didn't ask you to pick them up every day. They didn't ask you to pay for all of their meals. Yeah, sure. Should they have noticed? Maybe, but like, why make that their problem when really it's yours? You can't blame other people. It's your problem. They might be assuming you have a healthy relationship with yourself and you're just doing these things out of the goodness of your heart. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel like you don't have to go above and beyond to just receive love. And if you are the type of person that loves to go above and beyond, let it be something you just love doing from the goodness of your heart, not as a prerequisite to receiving the right kind of love and support and care. I love you so much. You are amazing. I really gotta go because I'm late to a meeting. I have so much more to say about this, but comment below letting me know what questions you have around people pleasing, especially as it relates to being from an immigrant family or an Arab family specifically. Love you so much and see you on the next one.